You know, in a world where it feels like everything is being shared, our coffee, our sunsets, our every little thought, there's this strange and honestly kind of fascinating phenomenon. The people who just don't post. They scroll, they watch, but they stay totally invisible. Maybe you know someone like that. Hey, maybe you are someone like that. So the big question is why, right? Why choose to stay unseen when the entire world seems to be screaming for attention? Okay, let's really get into this because the answer is so much more complex and interesting than you might think. Now, the first thing that probably pops into your head is, oh, they're just shy, or maybe they're introverted, or just antisocial. But honestly, that's just scratching the surface. The real reasons? Man, they reveal this incredibly powerful psychology at play. It's like a quiet rebellion against a culture obsessed with being seen. All right, so first things first, let's just bust that big myth right open. This isn't just about shyness. For a whole lot of people, the choice to stay silent online actually comes from a place of strength, not fear. So, when psychologists actually looked into this, they found that people who don't post often share some really powerful traits. I mean, look at this list. They tend to have high self-restraint, they're more into deep introspection, and they have this emotional independence. They're way better at resisting social comparison, and crucially, they have less need for that external validation from likes and comments. In other words, they aren't trying to prove who they are online, because they're busy actually understanding it offline. Yeah, so for a lot of these folks, this isn't some passive retreat. Nope, it is an active, proactive choice. It's all about taking back control of your own life and your own experiences in a world that's constantly pressuring you to just give them away for public consumption. And that brings us to this really core concept, psychological ownership. It's that deep gut feeling that a memory is yours, it belongs to you. But what the research suggests is that when you post an experience, that feeling of ownership kind of fades. The moment almost becomes a commodity, public content, open for judgment, open for misinterpretation. So non-posters aren't just being private, they are fiercely guarding their own experiences from becoming just another digital product. And this is where we see this huge split, right? The difference between performance and presence. Posting is so often a performance. You're crafting an identity for an audience, you're looking for that digital applause. But choosing not to post prioritizes presence. It's about identity formation, which happens privately, inside you. You literally stop thinking in captions and you start actually experiencing the moment for yourself, not for a camera lens. So what's the psychological superpower behind all this? Well, it's something called a strong internal locus of control. It's basically this deep-seated belief that your value and your happiness, they come from inside you, not from the echo of likes, shares, and external approval. You just don't need the digital world to tell you you're enough because you already believe it. So what exactly are they resisting? This, the validation loop. I mean, this is powerful behavioral conditioning at its finest. Every single like, every share, every comment triggers a little dopamine release in your brain. It literally trains us to equate sharing with reward. So choosing not to post is a deliberate act of stepping outside of that addictive cycle. It's not disinterest, it's discipline. Okay, but let's be real for a second. It's not always this empowered, peaceful choice. For some people, staying silent is a reaction, it's a retreat. It's driven by the just overwhelming pressure of the online world. It's a form of self-preservation. And there's actually a name for this feeling. Psychologists call it self-presentational pressure. It's that constant, nagging awareness that you're being watched, you're being judged, and you could be misunderstood at any moment. And even when you're not online, that feeling can stick with you. For a lot of people, it is just exhausting. And this quote, wow, it just nails it. For some, the emotional cost of being seen, of performing, of worrying about judgment or rejection, it just feels way too high. So they pull back, not because they don't want to connect, but because they want to connect in a way that's real, not superficial. And think about what drives that burnout. It's this, right? Social media is just a fire hose of everyone else's highlight reels. And even when you know it's all curated, it is almost impossible not to compare it to your own messy, unedited, behind-the-scenes life. That constant comparison, it just leads to emotional fatigue, and eventually you just check out. And this really gets to the heart of the matter. Our culture, somewhere along the line, has started to confuse being visible with being valuable. We've bought into this idea that to matter, you have to be noticed. But this quiet rebellion of the non-posters, it challenges that very foundation. All right, so after all that, we get to the final and maybe the most important part of this whole story, the payoff. What do you actually gain from choosing a quieter digital life? Because it's not an emptiness, it's a space filled with something way more real. And look, the benefits here, they're tangible and they're profound. You can build deeper, real-world connections when you're not busy chasing digital ones. Studies have actually shown that taking breaks from social media can lead to more emotional stability and a much more secure sense of who you are. You start to reconnect with your own inner voice, and moments just feel more intense because you're not distracted by the need to perform them for an audience. And that right there, that is the ultimate reframe. We are taught to be so afraid of being invisible, but the truth is, being unseen is not the same as being insignificant. In fact, you could argue that our true identity is often formed in private, not performed out in public. You know that classic question, right? It's become kind of a joke, but it points to a very real pressure we all feel. This pressure to turn our lives into content, to prove that our experiences are real by broadcasting them to the world. But here's the final powerful truth to really sit with. Your growth, your heartbreaks, your quiet little victories, the moments that truly deeply define who you are, they almost never make it to the feed. They live in your memory, not in your media. And for those who choose silence, that is more than enough.